I made a grave error when I posted this meme thinking people would know it's a parody. It's a parody article, okay? And it was my error. I don't think anybody was dumb for assuming this was true. I think it's actually really good commentary on the day and age in which we live. But I believe this parody article is actually getting after the data breaches that China is known to have committed against companies that hold like genetic data or genetic information, specifically companies like 23andMe. Now, this is a terrifying prospect. Like, anybody should be wary of this, even if you don't know anything about like biology or chemical weapons or biological weapons or anything like that. The idea that China is stealing data from companies is, I mean, it's frightening. I am really curious to hear what you guys think about what I found, what I'm saying, the opinions I'm giving you, all of that. I love what you guys have to say in the comments 99.9% of the time. And most of the time, it gives me really, really great perspective. I appreciate that you guys take the time to give me your thoughts. But this is a very serious topic, and quite frankly, as an Intel guy, it's something I'm very, very passionate about. If you have not hit that button to make sure that you see my content more often, please do so. The National Counterintelligence and Security Center has gone as far as saying that entities in the United States need to better protect any information involving the following categories: artificial intelligence, quantum computing, semiconductors, and any technology relating to what they refer to as the bioeconomy. It goes without saying that we should be protecting everything we have against foreign entities, and China is the likely largest known committer of corporate espionage and the theft of intellectual property. It's also known that if you're doing business with a Chinese business, you're doing business with the Chinese government because the two are intertwined. That is Chinese law. Now, as far as I'm aware, this applies primarily to large or like strategic businesses in China. Okay? The Chinese government involves itself heavily in the way that its citizens do business, who they do business with, and they have no issue, collecting intel, collecting data, stealing whatever they need to do to get ahead. It's kind of the Chinese MO. And this is not meant to disparage people of Chinese origin. I am simply talking about the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party, the Chinese government. It goes without saying that there are many amazing folks of Chinese descent born here and born everywhere else in the world just trying to get by, just like the rest of us. However, these data breaches, the security breaches, the issues that we're seeing of theft, specifically of intellectual property, I mean, it's extremely damaging to those it affects, and it's very, very concerning for national security. The Chinese government believes that dominating in places like AI, quantum computing, and anything having to do with genetics, any kind of like biomedical genetics, anything really, anything in that realm, they believe that dominating in that area is going to give them a significant lead, into the future. And they're not wrong. These are technologies that are kind of on the bleeding edge of what we know as a race, as the human race. And any kind of advantage they can get, whether they get it through illegal or legal means, they're going to take. Specifically with genetic data though, like genetic material, whatever information that, Chinese hackers are trying to take, is this something to be concerned with? Well, I think so. Biological warfare, sometimes also known as germ warfare, is an exceptionally heinous form of warfare. It's something that, not many countries are willing to partake in just because it really is frowned upon worldwide. And I say frowned upon as probably the biggest understatement on earth. At one point, the idea that a country could harvest like genetic data, like information, digital information, and then tailor a weapon to that, at one point that was science fiction. But in the modern day and age, it's not. It's simply not. And I say all this at the risk of sounding conspiratorial. I enjoy a good conspiracy theory as much as the next military intelligence professional. But this is reality in the era we live. China, the government, does not view warfare the same way that the United States and many others view warfare. Now, I don't want to go as far as saying that China believes it is at war with us, but I don't think that's out of the question. And certainly it believes that it's in a very, very steep competition with us. China wants to take our place. It wants to kind of throw us off the top, us being the United States, at risk of sounding arrogant, but it wants to take the place as the, senior power of the world. Now, 23andMe specifically and other kind of like, I don't know, biomedical data companies, companies that want to tell you like where your ancestry's from, many of them have stated that, Chinese firms own very little of shareholds in their companies. And so that is a reason not to be concerned. And quite frankly, that's the biggest like logical fallacy I've ever heard in my life. The fact that they own very little doesn't preclude them from trying to steal what those companies hold if they view what they're holding as valuable. That's ridiculous. Seeing these kind of statements made me even more skeptical as both an American citizen and a military intelligence professional. The Chinese government was actually accused of committing crimes against humanity against a minority in their country. Now, I know I'm probably going to mispronounce this, but it is the Uyghurs, right? Uyghurs. I apologize if I mispronounced that. I probably did. But as far back as 2014, the Chinese government was accused of committing, some form of, maybe even you could call it genocide against this minority group. There were instances of imprisonment in re-education centers, torture, forced labor, sterilization, right? And I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility that some form of genetic testing or something of that nature could have been done on this same minority group, right? I very much doubt that anybody other than the people operating those detention centers knows what's going on inside of them. The US, among other countries, has stated that it believes that China is committing genocide, and the United Nations has stated that it believes this could amount to what they believe is crimes against humanity, or what they classify as crimes against humanity. But what's the point in all of what I'm saying? Okay, what's the point? My point is that in the modern age, we have to be leery of near everything. Technology is moving so fast, our enemies, our adversaries' abilities to harm us is so myriad that we need to take a very, very significant look at the security of our best, assets, right? Things in the biomedical industry, AI, quantum computing, semiconductors, all of this technology. Why would you do the work yourself when you could simply steal it from somebody else? And China has no qualms about this. Many countries have no issue with doing this. And it makes sense, right? It's cheap. It's cheap to take what's not yours from somebody else after they've done all the work. US companies are continually warned of the risks of working with Chinese-owned companies. And the FBI and our various intelligence organizations have actually put out warnings stating that, people need to better protect their assets. Something that was especially concerning to me that I discovered when I was reading about this is China's collaboration with a company called BGI. BGI Group was formerly known as Beijing Genomics Institute. BGI started out as a very, very small company that dealt with like testing the genetic material of like rice plants, and has now evolved into something much more massive. They're involved in things such as animal cloning, health testing, and really anything involving the biomedical industry. Starting in 2021, there were accusations made of BGI Group, collaborating with the People's Liberation Army. Nothing good is going to come of a Chinese military force collaborating with any company having anything to do with genetic material, genetic testing, biomedical research, really anything. I don't know if they're making super soldiers or if they're making a super weapon to attack other people's soldiers. I have no idea. But honest to God, I don't think anything's off the table in the modern age. And again, I say all of this knowing that I may sound a bit conspiratorial. But I want to pose it to you another way. If you were the leader of a very large group of people and you thought that you wanted to get ahead, is it that far-fetched to think that you would do anything in your power to do that? Thank you very much for watching to the end of this video, y'all. I really appreciate it. Please watch the next one in the queue. If you haven't subscribed yet, do so now. And as always, I appreciate your thoughts in the comments. There was a lot to unpack in this video, and I'm curious to hear what you guys think.